So this is just another short kind of discussion, conversation, inquiry, maybe quite rambly. It's kind of thoughts in process. It's not a kind of static thing, but I'll start and see where it takes us. So I was really thinking about part of what I brought in one of my other little kind of clips of the lungs and grief, and how we deal with grief, if indeed we do deal with grief. What grief feels like, where it resonates, why we try not to feel grief, as well as many other array of emotions. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, because I think what I'm aware of is that COVID-19 and many other lung-related illnesses have to do with how we process grief individually and collectively. How we embody grief, well, more than how we embody it, how we contain it, how we protect it, are all things that are really interesting, especially around this time where we've got this virus that is becoming all around us and is attacking this area here, this lung area, this area that contains so much grief. And if we really allow ourselves to sit with that grief, to really feel it, then parts of that containment, parts of that armouring around this chest area begins to soften, begins to break down. And what's the natural response to that is this, the kind of the going in, the curling, and then the kind of sobbing as the softening of the body happens. And what you'll notice with many people is that's already starting to happen. You look at people's physical bodies and their shoulders are just rounding forwards, and it's containing this grief. And what happens is this container, I kind of see it as a hardening, a tension, a muscular tension. It's put in place in order to not feel this what feels like an overwhelming emotion, this overwhelming emotion that is likely to collapse us, or we feel like it's going to collapse us. And so we hold it at bay so that we don't have to feel that collapse, or feel what that might feel like, even though that we might not collapse. So you have these people that are just slightly curved in their shoulders, in the slight feeling of kind of protecting that area. And what they're ultimately protecting is their heart. And so you've got the lungs and your heart in this upper part of your body. And everything in this part of the body is trying to protect the softest, most vulnerable part of us, which is our heart. And it's doing its best as it can. It's saying, it's saying, you know, what can you take, what can you not take to the heart, and it's opening and it's closing its doors as if to say, what can you filter in, you know, what do I need to keep away from you, what can I allow in, what can you connect with, what are you ready to connect with, what are you able to experience. And this heart protector that does that job basically is a little bit of a keeper for the heart and just says, you know, actually, you know, I think this interaction is going to be good. I think this is going to be nourishing for you. This is something that you need to communicate with. And it allows it in. And sometimes that process of that kind of door opening and closing to your heart can become stuck open, or it can be stuck closed. And so that communication with the heart is not readily available. And that's an internal process as well as a relational process. You know, what relation do we have and connection with ourselves and with our heart, and what relation and connect do we have with others via our heart. And you can often see within someone's eyes whether or not they are communicating through their body and communicating with their heart. And quite often you can see that within a quality of an eye contact or a light or a shining in someone's eyes. But you've got, going back to the kind of grief, so you've got this grief overlaying it, and it's not being allowed to penetrate the heart. It's too overwhelming, it's too much for the heart to take on. The heart saying, you know, no, I can't take that on. And so what happens is this armouring happens around the heart, and it forms there in order to say that actually you don't have to feel all this. You don't have to go there. I can keep it. I can hold it. I can hold it away from you. And it does that, but it comes at a great price. It comes at a great price of not feeling the bad, but also not feeling the good. And so you have this kind of block saying that it's okay, you know, I've got you, I can hold that feeling, I can hold that feeling of grief, I can hold that feeling of overwhelm, I can hold all of those different feelings that we as human beings feel, and I can keep it away from you. And I can keep it away from you as a band, as an armour, as a muscular tension. But in doing so, you feel less of everything. You feel less of joy. You feel less of connect within yourself, within others. And I really feel that that has a huge part of what is happening within this virus. It's as if we're all needing to feel our grief, to feel what is in our heart. And I really encourage all of us to really drop into our bodies at this time and just start experiencing what is real, and just observing whether or not we are connected inwardly with ourselves and with our truths. Yeah, something along those lines. Thank you.